Hey, it's Vincent here from Vincent Games, your untapped source of MTG tips, info and discussion. Welcome to a deck tech for Black White Zombies. I've done one of these before, so I'm going to keep this a bit more brief. Not an awful lot has changed from the last video that I've done on this. The reason I'm doing this deck tech is because I'm going to be taking part in a PTQ online. It may not be the best choice, however, given that I'm very familiar with the deck, I feel like I know the lines quite well. I did quite well with it at PPTQ in paper, which was quite satisfying. So I feel very, very comfortable with the deck, which is a good place to be if you want to do well at an event. I don't want to just try out another deck and not be as comfortable with it, not be as knowledgeable about some of the lines, and sort of lose a bit of an edge there. And I think at this point in time, given the format is a bit more new, I'm going to be rewarded in certain spots for knowing my deck particularly well and just sort of playing it out as it's supposed to, as opposed to trying something a bit newer and just losing because I haven't tested cards or I don't know what certain matchups are like, for example. So we're going to give Black White Zombies another go. So as for the deck, it's fairly stock for a lot of the cards. You've got 4 of Cryptbreaker, 4 of Dread Wanderer, 4 Dark Salvation, which is really good. Any kind of creature-based matchup is just so solid. And then you've got your 4 Lords and your 3 Lord effects in Liliana's Mastery. A lot of decks seem to be shaving a copy, and so I have done this, and I'm trying out a singleton Archangel of Avacyn, which in the testing and at the PPTQ, I've always been happy to see this card when I've drawn it. I don't think you want too many, but it gives you some degree of protection against sweepers, whilst also just being an alternative win condition. 4/4 flashy flyer. I mean, she's solid, and I think she adds a nice little angle for this deck to just sort of win out of nowhere, and people aren't necessarily expecting to see this card, which is always nice. As I said, this deck is fairly stock. Diregraf Colossus, Lord of Accursed, they're the cards that you see from Zombies. And Wayward Servant, I can't afford to play Reignited is dead, so he is my 2-drop of choice, and he does a fine job at just draining your opponent. He's an extra way. He's a way to sort of win through when you've got a board stall. He's great in the mirror because of that, so he's just all round just really good. Grasp of Darkness, don't want too many of this in the main just because of the double black, but you're pretty cold to a Glory Bringer at times, so this is just a way to kill that, and it's a way to kill any other stuff efficiently. Binding Mummy is just solid, again in creature-based matchups. If you're casting multiple zombies, you can just attack through. So if you've assembled any kind of board presence and you've got a Diregraf Colossus and a Binding Mummy on the table, then every single zombie you cast is giving you 2 tap down triggers because of the fact that you're getting a zombie from the Diregraf Colossus. So you can seemingly, you can be in situations where the board is stalled out, but then out of nowhere you can just go, right, I'll cast a zombie, tap down that, tap down that, tap down that, and just swing through for a lot of damage. And then the main reason to play white is Gideon. Mono black zombies can struggle against control with sweepers, and if it doesn't get a particularly fast start, if it doesn't get under them, then it can be a little bit weak to control strategies. So Gideon's great against that because he's great against sweepers and he's hard for control to deal with. Typically, control decks might board out counter spells against you, so having this mix of creatures and then a Gideon as a threat there means they potentially have to keep in counter spells which might not be that great against you, especially if you're casting things like Dread Wanderer and Scrapheap Scrounger out of the sideboard. He's also additional Lord effect as well if you need it to, so sometimes he just comes down, makes an emblem, and if you've got a Lord on the table, all of a sudden you're just putting on so much damage. All of your crappy little zombies just get massive and you just win through that way. So he's a nice little bit of redundancy there. The other appeal to white is Anguished Unmaking. Again, another answer to Glory Bringer, but also Planeswalkers as well. Mardu vehicles in particular, have this transformational sideboard. So having Anguished Unmaking against them is really nice. This also exiles Accursed Monument, which is a real pain. So the opponent's playing that blue-white value deck, then you can just they tap out to cast Accursed Monument. You can just take it off the table straight away and not be worrying about Spell Queller if they're just they're playing it on curve. Just remove it. It's kind of take away a nice chunk of their sort of tempo and their ability to make 1/1s as well, because that deck gets out of hand if you kind of let them go off. So Anguished Unmaking shines there. And it's nice to have a card like this in the main deck because if your opponent resolves anything, you can just remove it and not have to worry about it. Declaration in Stone, 2 Fatal Push, 2 Grasp of Darkness. Fatal Push is for quicker decks, potentially the Mirror as well. And Deck in Stone is definitely for the Mirror, and again against aggressive decks, as is Grasp of Darkness. And I've gone for 2 more copies of Grasp of Darkness here, is just to give me additional answers to Glorybringer and Heart of Kieran. So they're both potential problems for this deck. As obviously there aren't that many, well, there's only 1 flyer in our deck, and you can lose games against Mardu if they've managed to keep your zombies at bay and just beat you to death with a 4/4 flyer, or they just cast a Glorybringer, which is very difficult to come back from sometimes. So being able to Grasp of Darkness and Glorybringer, kill their 5-drop for 2 mana is really nice before they get a chance to exert it. And then we have Liliana of the Last Hope, which is really good against the blue-white value deck, killing out all their 1/1 tokens that they generate. Also kills the 2/1 flyer, Selfish Spirit. So that's really nice. And it's not too bad against Mardu as well, killing both Toolcraft Exemplar and the 3/1 Scries when it enters the battlefield. So when she's good, she's really good, which is why I've got her as a one-of, because she also has applications against things like Dread Wanderer, Cryptbreakers as well. Ob Nixilis is good, it draws you cards, and also against mid-range decks as well. You can use it to remove big creatures without too much issue, and he also sticks around, so it's kind of just getting some sort of value in those grinding matchups where it's all about just sort of getting resources and yeah, being the last one alive, I suppose. And Gideon's, as I mentioned, is for control. Scrapheap Scroungers for sweepers. Transgress the Mind is just good against control, and also anything that's trying to go big as well, to try and just sort of tear out really relevant cards from their hand and stop them from going off. It's also a little bit of a nod to New Perspectives, as I don't really want to lose to that deck. It's nice to have it as part of the sideboard. Beyond that, there's not an awful lot more to say. The deck does have weaknesses. Everyone keeps telling me the mana base is dreadful, and I agree. 6 planes is not ideal. However, you need double white for the cards that you've got, main and side. Not only that, the tap lands are a pain, because this is essentially an aggro deck, and the tap lands are not really great for that. However, especially post board, you do get these really grindy games where you're kind of just building up your board, waiting to play a Lord, resolving a key Planeswalker, and kind of just trading off, and the game's going long. And a lot of games you just win like that, or you win through just draining them out with Wayward Servant if they haven't got an answer to it. So yeah, again, you're trading off resources. It gets to late in the game, you top deck a Wayward Servant, and you're getting other triggers from zombies. So you're not able to kind of punch through, but you can just sort of drain them out. You got Avacyn as well to fly over the top, Gideon as well. So you're not necessarily just trying to go 1-drop zombie, 2-drop zombies, Lord, smash. I mean, obviously there are games which play out like that, but especially post-board, it can definitely become far more grindy than you would expect. And the tools in white that you've got really help with that. So having the tap lands isn't always an issue. Yes, there are some turns where it's going to be awful and you're just going to wish that it was a basic swamp or whatever, but it's not too bad. And also, the other great thing is you get Shambling Vent, which is just so good. Again, against control, it gives you something to do with your mana late in the game when they've just killed your whole board, and if you're flooding out, because this deck does have a tendency to flood out, which is why Cryptbreaker is so good. But if that happens, drawing multiple Shambling Vents can just be a godsend. So if they play a Chandra, kill your stuff, you can then untap and then just kill Chandra with a Shambling Vent, which has been a common play with this deck when it was 6 mana Chandra, when Marvel was a thing, or even just more nowadays the Team of Monsters deck, where they just tap out on turn 4 for Chandra Torch of Defiance, kill your zombie, which they've got to kill, otherwise they're just going to get beaten down by it, and you can just untap and just remove Chandra with the Shambling Vents. Shambling Vents is just really, really nice in that regard as well, which is another reason why I kind of like the white version, because having that manland is very, very useful. But yeah, this is what I'm going to use for the PTQ, the online PTQ. So hopefully I will do reasonably well. Looking forward to playing, and the round should be starting very shortly. Okay, so we're in for round 1, and this hand is an obvious mulligan. This hand is probably a keep. It's not fantastic, but we've got Dark Salvation, Wayward Servant, 2 Colossus. So yeah, it's fine actually. It's pretty good. Just need to draw enough land, but not too many, to be able to actually curve out. Well, that's quite good. That will go on top. So the nice thing about the Shambling Vents, as I may have mentioned before, it's a good turn 1 play. It just gives you an extra thing to do on turn 1 if you don't have a Cryptbreaker or Dread Wanderer, like in this hand now. Giving us both colours of mana and not really feeling too punished for playing at turn 1 if you don't have anything else to do. It's pretty good. Okay, so we're playing against the blue-white value deck. Play Wayward Servant, and almost certainly gonna attempt Dark Salvation on turn 3. Not blocking that. Ooh. May just Pierce of Angel that. May just Dark Salvation that. Even if he does kind of make more creatures and play more stuff with Hammer Militia Captain, we have got the ability with Diregraf to just make quite a lot of tokens and just chump, all while draining. So at the moment, assuming we still have a Wayward Servant, it's probably better to just go for killing the Archangel. It also allows us to get in for 2 damage and have a token to put our opponent off of attacking. And if our opponent does attack, I'll probably block. Happy to trade. Alright, cool. And we'll go with a swamp. Happy to trade a random token for a Hammer Militia Captain. I like this because we get a creature down and we kill something of theirs. It's just a nice tempo play. Stops him gaining life as well. We want to be draining him and taking control of the life totals rather than him gaining life and doing more. Okay, yeah, and another one would have been really annoying. So, pretty sure he doesn't attack. Great. Yeah, their game plan is to build up lots of creatures by the look of it, and they've missed on land. So I think what we want to do here is play Diregraf Colossus to then start just churning stuff out. Absolutely no reason to attack. It's another reason why we don't play the Lord, because he can double block and kill our Wayward Servant. Could play the Lord and swing with a zombie, but I just think this is better. No, if we wait a turn, then it's just better to attack with a 3/3. I mean, if he attacks into us, okay, that's annoying. I imagine he goes for the Colossus. Yeah, that suits me down to the ground. Yeah, so if he attacks with us, then I don't mind blocking, but so this is fine. And yeah, I don't think the plan changes from before. Just keep playing Colossus and other things. So Diregraf Colossus. drain him down. Yeah, I might just attack here. I don't think they're going to block, and if they do, I don't really care. This is a little bit aggressive. But I'm kind of just happy to trade with whatever he does. Whatever he's got there. If he trades now, then he's got less blockers, I suppose, next turn. This is probably just a bad attack. I probably shouldn't have done this. I should be patient and wait. I'm just kind of throwing away a 2/2 here. But my rationale for this is we're in a very strong position and it's not good for our opponent to just lose creatures. No, exactly. So maybe the attacks are fine. I don't think our opponent gains a lot from blocking, so we can kind of just force through zombies. Gisela gain some life. Lord of the Accursed and smash in. Keeping back Wayward Servant. Yeah. So this is where Binding Mummy comes into its own a little bit. It's just insane. Yeah. Our opponent is going to take too much damage and lose. So I'm sensing this is just a mono white humans aggro-y kind of just deck, potentially playing a Tetra's Monument and maybe Gideon's, I assume, as well. So on the draw would be Ob Nixilis just to kill stuff, Fatal Push to kill stuff, more things like this. Maybe Liliana, not sure. And again, being on the draw, could just take 4 Dread Wanderers out. I mean, Dread Wanderer's fine, but I'm not really sure what they're doing, and I feel like if we can just kill everything that they play, gum up the board with zombies, and maybe stick a Planeswalker will be alright. Binding Mummy is great. Diregraf Colossus is great, but I think if you're taking out zombies, it's potentially worthwhile to consider taking out him. I think that's reasonable to do here. A little bit uncertain of what they're playing, so that's why we're kind of going with this plan here. Being again on the draw, could probably cut one of these more expensive cards in Liliana's Mastery or Avacyn. I'm going to take a Liliana's Mastery out because again I don't know how much they're in on this. Oh, they might be on Dusk Dawn after boarding, so we'll just do that. So we've got just loading up on removal and other ways to present threats that are quite good at killing creatures as well. Not being 100% what they're actually playing. Okay, so we have a Dark Salvation, Wayward Servant, Grasp of Darkness, and an Anguished Unmaking. This hand and the land to play all of them. This hand seems pretty good. Again, the plan of just killing everything that they play. Oh, look at that. The games where you land a turn 1 Cryptbreaker just feel so much better than the games where you don't, obviously. Okay, nothing from our opponent, which is great for us. Could play Binding Mummy, could play Wayward Servant. I think we want to play Wayward Servant. They're not presenting any threats to really tap down with Binding Mummy. and we could play Wayward Servant and then turn 3 Dark Salvation, kill whatever they play, get another zombie that way. There's no sense activating Cryptbreaker here. We want all of these cards, so we're just going to swing in with Cryptbreaker while we can. Potentially the only time he's going to attack this whole game. And then Wayward Servant. I think you could make an argument for playing the Binding Mummy first, but oh dear, this guy is not getting a break with his mana. I'm not really sure what he's kept if he didn't have a 2-drop. I mean, I'm assuming he's got an aggro deck, and that's really unfortunate if that's the case. With his lands, oh, well, yeah, I'm assuming he's got an aggro deck, in which case he probably should have mulliganed whatever hand that is. It's an interesting thing now. I could have hit for 3 or wait to draw a card. I think given our hand is quite reactive, normally I would just draw a card. But I actually think that we just want to put pressure on our opponent. They're stumbling on land, and as such, this 3 damage is quite good. Normally, the little bit of damage that you get in with, you know, a random zombie and a Cryptbreaker is not worth you drawing an extra card. So the default is just to pass the turn and draw a card at end step by tapping these 3 mummies. However, given that our hand is so good, I'd rather make these cards work for us in terms of the damage that they can do to our opponent. It just feels like we want to be putting pressure on, especially if they miss another land drop here. Like we'll just continue to attack. Because otherwise, we just sit here, don't do anything. And, oh, there we go. Ketra's Monument. Okay. So I was right about the monument at least. So we're going to be particularly cruel and play your planes and remove this monument. Just completely take off their turn. So they've achieved not very much. And again, I think we just continue to bash them. It's 5 damage, puts them to 10. We've got a push for end step, and again swing for 5, which just puts them, yeah, it's much better to attack here. Oh no, Stasis Snare. Okay, so what's he going to go for? Wayward Servant. That doesn't surprise me because it's just the damage it represents. But it's nice that they haven't given us, they haven't got rid of our Cryptbreaker. Okay, so could discard the land, but then if we draw a 5-drop, which is quite likely, potentially likely, then that could be awkward. But I think I'd just rather again just rather do the damage here. As I say, normally it's best to activate Cryptbreaker, but he's done a lot of damage. He's done like, what, 4 points of damage, which is not irrelevant. Perhaps drawing would be better. But we're able to just keep our opponent's board empty with what we've got here, so we're just content forcing 3 damage. We've got 5 cards in hand, so they've probably got some options. That's just turn 6, sorry, not turn 5. Another Stasis there. Okay. So this is the downside to us being aggressive with our attacks. Because, yeah, now we're playing from the top of our library. And we need to draw stuff. Okay, that was a good draw. Fortunately, our deck is quite threat dense. That's amusing. Sure. Sure. So we're just going to end step the Fatal Push on the Fairgrounds Warden. And then we'll just Dark Salvation here. Kill their thing, attack them for lethal. There we go. Yeah. A bit unlucky again from our opponent, but I question why they kept that hand. Why don't they didn't seem to play any kind of relevant creatures until turn 6, which was unfortunate for them. I mean, maybe they were just hoping to draw land for a Ketra's Monument, but then all the creatures that we've seen, bar Gisela or Bruno or whatever her name is, have cost less than the Ketra's Monument or around this, or the same cost, so I don't really know. But it's good for us, and Zombie Smash, can't complain.